probably about a year or so ago that I started to have some conversations with the MHR department about trying to build up the entrepreneurship area a bit more. They've been doing a great job of offering classes and some teaching some basic classes, but I thought that there was the potential to do much more. And their vision and my vision sort of came together, and we started thinking a little bit about what we could do. We added a faculty member in the area of entrepreneurship to bolster what was already in the department. And then we started thinking about enrichment opportunities beyond the classroom to get students involved. In the few years that I've been here, I've seen lots of interesting ideas that students have shared with me, but somehow no really public forum, no venue to kind of air them out, both in front of the college community as well as from business leaders outside, so that we could get some feedback, and then, you know, maybe somewhere down the road we'll even bring some of these things to fruition. So we're doing this for the first time. I'm excited that we got so many early applicants. There was quite a large number of business applications that came in for proposals. We've narrowed it, I understand, down to 7 really great ones today that you're going to hear. We have some cash awards to get people in these groups started if they think there is potential to go further. The dream for next year and the coming years is to expand this beyond the College of Business, open it up to the campus in general. I know that there is interest in the College of Science, interest in the College of Engineering. We haven't worked out the mechanics of that yet, whether we would let teams independently work from those colleges, or maybe find a way to mix and match with some business students. We know that some of the folks in engineering and science have very interesting technical ideas, but don't know how to put them necessarily into the format that those on the outside could understand to move forward. So there's a variety of possibilities here, but this is our first step, baby steps. Let me quickly thank our judges. We have 4 people from the outside today, some of which we've talked a bit more personally than others, but all are very interested in this activity. Some have given a significant amount of money to help with the awards that we'll be giving out today. So let me introduce the far end there, Pawan Temcoria, Thomas Galindo, Howard Marks, and Don Hicks. There was actually a 5th judge, Wen Chang. Wen couldn't make it today at a family emergency, but he was a big part in helping narrow down the pool of applications down to the 7 that we have today. So I know the contestants here are squirming a little bit. You didn't come to hear me, you came to hear them. So let me turn this over to your UBSS president, and he will serve as the moderator or MC for this event. So please. Thank you, Oscar.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this amazing event. First of all, I just want to thank a couple of the professors that have been part of this. Dr. Gail Waters, along with Dr. Deborah, and Dr. Asan. So once again, thank you guys for putting this together and being a support to all the students that are involved in this presentation today. Once again, I just kind of want to go over a little bit and just let you guys know that as we're moving along and young people are seeking more and more assistance to navigate through the barriers of obstacles of commercialization. Therefore, this is the reason why we have events like this, where we welcome all of you to launch the 2012 Bronco Business Plan contest at Cal Poly Pomona. It is the first annual, so congratulations to everybody that's here being part of this. In addition, We are looking forward to present once again the judges that are here. I'll give you a little bit about where the companies that they've been starters up from and where they come from as well. We have Mr. Howard Marks. He is the co-chair of Start Engine, founder of GameZ.com, co-founder of Activism and Acclaim Games. Then we also have Mr. Don Hicks, who is from Tritech, SBDC, and Quantum Leaders, Inc. We also have Pawan Takorda, which is he's an adjunct professor at Cal Poly Pomona, Vice President and General Manager, Cardiac Surgery Systems, Edward Life Sources and Corporation. And we also have Mr. Thomas Galindo, CFA, Market President, BBVA Compass Bank, and again, Mr. Wang Cheng that can't be with us today. But as Dean Lapita said, we're all here to see the presenters, and we'll start off with letting you guys know that each presenter has 3 minutes to actually present their presentation, and after that, we'll move on to questions and answers. And first of all, we want to start off with Krikor Kechijian with Guest House Medical.
Hi everyone. It takes just a second to load it. I'm Krikor Kechijian, and this is my business, Guest House Medical. You'll be treated like a guest. The business and its growth model has 3 stages. What we do. The services provided are the standard primary care services at any internal medicine clinic. Who we are. The office manager, myself, for more than 15 years of business experience. Nairi Kechijian, PCP MP, with more than 10 years of medical experience, and medical assistant, over 10 years of field experience. And the support team includes experienced IT, HR specialist, RN, and legal consultant. The target market. The target market will be Generation X and Y, computer and technology savvy, who regularly utilize social networking. As an adult clinic, it will also include baby boomers, but we are a disruptive force in the industry, and our target market will soon include anyone 18 and over. The current shortage of 2,000 primary care providers in Los Angeles County alone creates the opportunity of a profitable business. However, we will create a competitive edge by innovative technology and design. This is your typical clinic now. It's plain and uninviting. Our clinic is designed having environmental psychology in mind. It is warm, calm, and uplifting. This is the current filing system used in most clinics, which is inefficient, time-consuming, and prone to errors. At Guest House Medical, electronic medical records will be used to archive files, medication, communicate with staff, and patients. It's efficient and minimizes errors. Now let's talk some numbers. This is our 5-year projected profit chart. The break-even point is by the end of the year 1, and at 75% of operating capacity, the clinic will generate about $250,000 net profit per year. The business will be funded by $50,000 self-funded, $25,000 personal line of credit, and $120,000 by various investors. At its lowest cash balance point, we will have $25,000 balance as a buffer. And as the 5-year cash flow shows, by the end of 2nd year, the business will have enough capital to expand to other locations, which brings us to stage 2. The business model will be standardized and replicated in many locations owned and operated by Guest House Medical. And stage 3 is the real growth opportunity that we are looking for. Most physicians and nurse practitioners lack the basic business knowledge which keeps them from owning their own clinics. By owning and franchising 400 locations, we will only satisfy the shortest PCP. Okay, thank you very much. Questions?
Very nice presentation. I like the use of Prezi. It's very dynamic looking. I have a question for you. So is your ultimate goal to create a franchised, you're using the first as a test case and then you're going to build a franchise? Is that what you're trying to accomplish?
Thanks for the question. That was the last part of my presentation. Yes, we will create a franchise model, and by owning and franchising 400 locations, we will only serve the Los Angeles County area. And imagine the possibilities if we expand them throughout statewide or nationwide.
Right. What I didn't get from your presentation is what is the mission you're trying to accomplish?
There is a great shortage of PCPs. There are like 2,000 shortage PCPs in Los Angeles area. It's a great business opportunity, and for example, whenever you take a doctor appointment, you have to wait 2 or 3 months. That's because of the shortage that's been created. And the shortage is going to increase and not decrease within the next 5 to 10 years.
So, Krikor, is your competitive advantage just the faster response to the customer, or how is it different from what a doctor's clinic provides?
It's very similar, but the costs are going to be much less because we are employing MPs, nurse practitioners. The customer satisfaction is way higher than MDs, and the time they spend with customers, it's more than MDs. And everything is going to be technology and technologically advanced, less errors.
So basically. Price, that's your main...
Price-wise, it's going to be less than other medical clinics. And the reason for that is, again, nurse practitioners, they get half the salary of medical MDs.
Krikor, your biggest issue here, and I'll probably be asking this to everybody, is why are they going to pick you over someone else when they provide the same services? How are you going to go out there and market your facility and have them come to you? Because if the doors are open and no one shows up, that cash flow projection doesn't work as it should.
Yes. The way healthcare industry works is you get the patients not by marketing, by contracts with insurance companies. And whenever you're employing MPs, you're only getting paid 85% of the rate of MDs. And because they're paying you less than MDs, you have preference. They pick you, the insurance companies, and they send you the customers.
I went to a doctor's office, and there was a nurse practitioner who sold me right away because the doctor was too busy. Mm-hmm. And I was a little worried. It's like, is he going to misdiagnose me? And, I was supposed to do a test. I think it was an ear, nose doctor. And do you think your customers, the patients, will have the same issue?
Yes, a lot of people, they don't know about the nurse practitioners. Initially, they're not sure, but once they start seeing the nurse practitioner and it's tested this one and they love it, they want to go back to the same nurse practitioner. The satisfaction rate is 98% compared to 62% of MDs.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the next presenter, which is Trevor Benke with 5 Diamond Senior Concierge.
Good morning, I'm Trevor Benke, and I'm here to discuss a startup business called 5 Diamond Senior Concierge. And I really started thinking about developing this business because of 2 things that happened to me. I volunteered at an assisted living facility in high school for about 4 years, on and off, for several hours at a time. And I also had a discussion with my grandmother who lives in Indiana. And she was telling me about a person that she had come to her house to help her with certain activities. And she was kind of upset because he was unprofessional and, didn't always show up on time. And I think the main reason that she had him come is because he was someone that was readily available. And, he kind of knocked on her door and, said he was looking for work. She said, oh, I'll have you come do some projects around the house and help me with gardening and things of that nature. So I really started to think and wanted to develop a more professional service provider. And I wanted to develop something that is in the non-medical industry portion of this. And right now, in 2010, the senior population makes up about 13%. And in 2030, this population should be at about 20% total of the US population. And right now, the AARP did a study asking seniors about their preference on living at home for as long as possible. And 90% of the people that responded said that they wanted to live at home as long as possible. So my goal is to enter the home care provider industry. It's currently about a $70 billion industry, and I will be looking to enter about $7 billion of that. That'll be the area that is non-medical and out-of-pocket expenses. I'm projecting for my first year about $422,000 in sales with a net profit of $53,000. This is based on a 15% growth each month. And the main revenue drivers for this business are the service packages and hourly wages, or hourly services. And it'll be divided, basically the senior could request a certain package that offers a certain amount of hours each month, or they could just have someone come for 2 hours at a time. And either way, we want to provide the most professional services that we can, but also we want to do something a little bit different than what the standard home care providers are doing right now. We want to offer more exciting things. We want to do things like play Wii with the seniors, or take them to a pool hall so they can play pool, or even take them out on the golf course and help them around the golf course if they need that. And the main thing that we're going to focus on, and the money that we want, is for the marketing budget. And I'm seeking $20,000 for a 10% equity stake. Thank you.
Trevor, what do you see as the ratio between clients and a concierge, and how do you scale?
I was thinking that it would be about 5 clients per week per concierge, and initially I want to start off as small as possible so I don't eat up a lot of capital quickly. So more than likely the team would consist of myself and 1 or 2 concierges to start. And we would test out the market and see where we are, and then expand based on the demand and keep adding. I mean, initially I would look to hire about 4 or 5 part-time concierges, but really, I'd only want to start with about 2, but I'd have them on the line in case someone got sick or something like that.
Have you worked out the concept of hundreds?
Of hundreds?
Yeah.
No, I've pretty much looked at what I believe that I can do now and in the next 3 years. I basically did a 3-year projection. And I was keeping it as small as possible and not overestimating my sales projections just because you don't know exactly what it's going to be. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Trevor, first of all, and I want to say this to Core, you guys picked an industry that is in need. You're going to be a little disadvantaged with me right now because I have 2 elderly parents that actually do this, and it's a tough job. Yeah. It's a tough job for children, parents, grandchildren. I'm going to ask you, here's the thing. You have to go after individuals. You have to go to a home and talk to these seniors. How are you going to get to each one of these individuals? Because you're going to have to get volume. And you're very labor intensive. It's not like you can
Right.
provide a service. You have to be there with them.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get your gross margin. You're gonna know exactly what it is. Here's what I'm charging for the service. Here's what I pay my employee.
Right.
But how are you gonna get these people? That's a key.
Well, the main marketing strategies that I'm looking to use the capital that I have are for running TV ads during local daytime TV, and particularly those time slots because seniors are at home watching daytime TV, and those are also the cheapest slots available. And also I'm going to use this direct mail campaign that UPS now offers that allows you to kind of pick the area that you want to send out direct mail to, and I'm going to advertise to each of these homes in the area that I'm looking, which is Orange County. So I basically have 6 zones set up, and I would advertise in each of these zones locally, and it cost about 15 cents per flyer sent out for that.
I have a question. Who's going to pay for the services? Is that going to be their children or themselves, and what the cost is?
Well, it could be a combination of both, depending on the specific senior's financial state. Some seniors have a lot of money and they'll be able to pay for it themselves, whereas others, will need family from their, need money from their family, and that's what they'll look. And the average cost for this service is about $22 per hour, and that's the rate that I would go at, and that's about the standard rate that there is right now in the market.
Trevor, quick question. When you're successful, how do you keep anybody from copying it?
We have no more room for questions.
I have an answer, but it's okay.
Thank you. Next, we have Andrew McIntosh with Vulver.
Morning, everyone. Let me just get the presentation up. Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew McIntosh, and today I'm going to present to you Involver. 9 out of 10 students, college students, are on social networks right now. They're a big deal. On Facebook, for example, we have a network of friends, and these friends are in a closed environment. But what if different friends have the same interests? Well, there's a disconnect. How do they reach each other? Twitter is different. Twitter is a broadcast tool. On Twitter, one user can broadcast to thousands upon millions of people, but it's hard to reach and target everyone, and it's hard to listen in on everything interesting to you, right? There's just a lot of things to deal with. So how can we easily share relevant content to people outside of our network? And also, how can we find relevant content from people outside of our network? Well, how is content shared? Facebook, it's user to user. Twitter, it's user to web. It's unfiltered. Involver is user to campus. So let's take a look at the campus of Cal Poly. We have 20,000 students with all different types of backgrounds, but they're all connected to different people in their own groups. It's hard to connect with other students and other interests that you might be interested in. So we're going to fix this. How are we going to fix that? With a closed network where only students related to a university can post. They can post content relevant that they're interested in, and they can share it with others in one central area. So if there's something you want to share with other people, it's sent to the main site. And if you want to listen to information, you can also go to the same place to be filled in. And this is important. So what's going to be posted on Involver? Well, we have speakers, classes, clubs, jokes, sports, anything that you'd want. And we call these interests because those are what students are interested in. So we know different people have different interests, right? An English major is not going to want to learn about the business plan competition, but the business major will. So our job is to make sure that relevant content gets sent to the appropriate people. That's how we'll arrange the content, and that's what makes us interesting and different from a website, right? Users are key, and they're definitely key to the revenue model. We plan to make money originally through job postings. We're going to have people posting job postings similar to like they would on another site, but it's different than LinkedIn because LinkedIn only has 30% of their active users looking for jobs. We're actually going to, we see that their interaction is low, and ours is going to be increased because of our better user base. And our advertising analytics is also going to be another way of making money by charging advertisers a way to see the analytics of their ads. Our revenue forecast sees breaking even at the end of Q3. After a year and a half, we'll have all the schools in the United States covered. And at that point, we'll have about 4.5 million users. And we hope by the end of about 3 years, we'll be making $40 million per quarter. And this will expand as we open up to more schools internationally. Our team consists of myself and my co-founder, Joel Humphrey. We have experience building a business. For the past 3 years, we've owned a web development company, and we built it successfully, so we know how to work on a winning team. Additionally, we're looking for $175,000 of angel funding for 15% equity, and this will be all spent really on employees. That's 90% of our cost, but it's also the most important cost is hiring these top employees to build code for us. So people always say, if you want to have a great college experience, get involved. So start today with Involver.
Trevor, what was your profit in the third year or whenever you hit the 45
It was $40 million at the end of the quarter, per quarter.
Profit or revenue?
That was revenue, actually, in that case. The profit would be around 35, 36. Very high profit margins, because our expenses are fairly low. Servers are fairly cheap. The highest part that we'll be spending on would be the employees, by far.
So basically, if you look at Facebook, they had a similar strategy. They started in a university, closed environment, so it was private. Clearly, they were quite successful. How are you going to differentiate yourself from what the students are already using today towards trying to use your service?
Well, other services right now are connecting people together that they know. What we want to do is connect not only people, but the clubs and the organizations that they don't know about. So we're going to, in the beginning, we're going to generate all the interest to say what the sporting events are going on, what clubs are available. We'll have to populate that ourselves, but our software will be able to tell people when they log in all the events and interests that they'd be interested in, they will see automatically. There will be no adding or liking of their own to begin with. Kind of like in Quora, if you sign up for a Quora with your Facebook account, you immediately see all the topics you'd be interested in. This is the same way with Involver.
And how do you see, I mean, right now there's probably some websites on campus that are providing some of those functions. How do you see that competition? You haven't talked really of the competition inside of the campus.
Inside of the campus, there's not that much competition because from the school, the systems are very old and slow. So it's not fast moving and people can't keep up with it. The other side of that is my co-founder and I, Joel, have experience building websites and building them quickly and efficiently. So we know how to build a startup and compete with other startups in this industry. There are people trying to compete in this space, but we're actually the broadest. So we're kind of the one-stop shop. You get your social networking, you get your job postings, you get information about the clubs all together. Other services are doing these one by one, and we're making them in one congruent environment. Thank you for your time, Judge.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Samantha Pearson and Kieran Dolan with Amethyst Chocolate.
We are standing here today because of our heroes in the military. Their dedication is our inspiration at Armistice Chocolate, and we work to provide 50% of our profits to the Wounded Warrior Project. Armistice's goal is to have 60% of our employees be veterans using the Veterans Opportunity to Work Act of 2011. My name is Samantha Pearson.
And I'm Karen Dolan.
And our startup for profit company combines our passions for veterans, the environment, and of course, chocolate. We have numerous close family and friends who are current and former military, and we work to reduce our negative impacts on the environment. These personal experiences act as motivations for the creation of Armistice Chocolate.
When working with our veterans, Wounded Warriors is an organization which often comes to mind. In today's trends, interest in social causes is increasingly affecting consumers' buying habits. Following this lead, we have decided to join forces with Wounded Warriors and through contractual agreement to become their sole confectionery company sponsor. Through this, we will be actively involved in their events. I'm sorry. and help to grow their organization. We will be selling our products in high-end specialty stores and military commissaries, and we will also have contracts for slotting. And we will also have various promotional and advertising programs.
Our proposed target market reaches all 4 generations, each of which have experienced different periods of war. When we conducted our primary research survey across these generations, there was a strong indication of favor for a company who would employ veterans. Being a cause-minded company like Tom's Shoes, the attraction of our efforts towards the veterans and the environment will give us a sustainable competitive advantage.
As it is right now, the chocolate market is dominated by Hershey's and Mars, which share 67% of the market share. Our Mistus is differentiated from our competitors by our efforts towards social causes. This will help us to penetrate the market with a 0.01% of the market share, which will get us $18 million in sales in the first year.
For our first year, our initial setup cost of $2 million will be spent on the building in Florida, on the renovations, the purchase of the equipment, the needs to make it energy efficient, and other expenses. From this chart, you can see our profit and loss statements for the first 3 years.
We have $40,000 in capital today for our Mistus, but we need about $2 million more. In return for your investment, we will repay the investment with the addition of 5% within a negotiated period of time. Thank you.
Can I ask you why you're going to locate in Florida?
That is the 5th best state in terms of taxes for businesses, and it's also the 2nd highest concentration of veterans in the United States.
I've heard that humidity affects the process of chocolate. Is that going to be a problem in Florida?
Well, our facility will be regulated accordingly to make sure the chocolate is intact and make sure it has the best quality, and we'll be using solar panels on top of our building to give us energy and to reduce our costs as well.
You guys, I will say again, you've used a concept that is going to tug at people's hearts, and that's very, very important because it'll get them going, because I think there's no one that's going to say, I don't want to buy this. With that, there's a lot in the background you need to worry about. And my first question to you, are you selling directly to individuals? Are you selling to retailers? Who's selling these candies? Who's going to get them at the end? I mean, you're the distributor, are you the manufacturer? How does that work?
Well, we will be selling to individuals. We will be using contracts with retailers to access the individuals, and also through the Wounded Warriors project, we will gain a lot of access to not only veterans, but their military families and military supporters who are connected to those families.
But going back to Thomas following, are you manufacturing or are you subcontracting the manufacturing? Are you a distributor?
Oh, I understand. We are going to manufacture. We're going to have our own plant where we make our own chocolate and we have our own packaging, and then we distribute them to retailers.
I have a friend who's doing something similar with potato chip snacks for same concept, cost marketing, a percentage of profits go to the military. His biggest issue I've seen was getting distribution, getting into the retailers, even though it's a great concept because, it's cost marketing, it has a lot of affinity. So he's talking to Costco, talking to Price Club, all these different retailers, and it's difficult. Have you already talked to retailers to see what would be the interest in picking up your product?
Well, we'll be working with the more high-end retailers, including Whole Foods, Sprouts, places that the more cause-minded people go to shop, and we'll work with the contracts and getting our slotting fees in there as well.
What is your competitive advantage? I go back to the issue of it works. What's to keep anybody from just repeating the same thing as a competitor?
Well, we will be using our social causes with the environment and the veterans. It's hard to imitate that as well. And we will be the sole sponsor for Wounded Warriors for the confectionery area. We will not have any other competitors that way, so we can put our name on every event they do, every sponsorship, and do different fundraisers that way.
Do you already have that agreement with them?
I'm sorry?
Do you already have that agreement?
No, we do not already have that agreement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ed Sparks with 4 servers.
Good morning.
Is that true?
Let's see if this works today. My name is Ed Sparks with 4 servers. It's a team of 7 people. We're looking for money for growth and stimulation. We have developed speed technology, which is streaming-powered electronic encrypted data. We offer no caching, no buffering interactive media technology. Our research was complete in 2010. We have just been licensed last weekend by Quad Systems for our application into Facebook. You can see that we've been doing political awareness and solicitation door-to-door for the GOP Republican Party at $120,000 a month, which began in February 2010, and we ran the Rick Santorum's campaign. We deliver interactive media at super low bandwidth and the creation of websites we are flirting with. Bear with me. We believe that we can implant speed technology into a television interface for manufacturers to have full control over how their viewers experience. We're seeking $3 million to build the TV interface, and we believe in 19 months we'll be able to generate $31 million a year at $1 a second. We also want to use our technology first cloud storage platform. We're seeking $1 million for advertising and marketing to be able to have media companies and enterprise software be in control of their own information without actually reaching the end user's device. We believe that with our ultra fast, high speed, low bandwidth, with no buffering, we'll be able to, with $10 million, deliver high-speed internet to third world countries over their physical phone landlines. And we believe that at $3 a month, 1 million users will be able to generate enough profit to be able to break even in 6 months. That is our current needs. My name is Ed Sparks. I'm an assistant to the president for this company. It's been in the workings for 5 years. Our developers, our team of 7 developers, we developed Action Script from scratch, and we have developed it into what it is today. And that is all. Thank you.
I'm curious, where is the president? Usually we have the president present.
The president is Robert Slider, and he lives in Sarasota. And since this merger just took place on the weekend, actually within about 3 hours when this was due, I was called at 1:45 in the morning, and I actually had to revamp my presentation to be able to, cover up some proprietary information that I had put into the business plan. Okay. Yes.
Could you talk about the 20 mil deal thing?
John Madden of the John Madden of NFL, he basically purchased to license our patent into Facebook, and because we don't buffer or actually have any slowdowns or loading in our technology, we can build a website platform that we can stick directly into Facebook for a company. And we've been using this technology to use on tablets for door-to-door solicitation, for campaigning, and it loads instantly and it doesn't buffer, so we can actually provide live interactive media at a door-to-door basis. So that's basically, he wanted to take that technology and put it into Facebook so he can replicate an app for businesses.
Got it.
And I had a presentation as well to show. However, because we're kind of in the dealings with another company, we had to take it down.
I got it. My question is, did you get $20 million?
We did.
So,
Well, our $20 million is by payment on a month-to-month basis from now for the next 60 months. So we will break even and be debt-free somewhere in the 22, 23-month range.
cool.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Yassine Fakour with Juicebox.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Go to the bottom right corner, next to the 104%, to the left. There you go.
All right, sorry. All right, my name is Yazin Fakouri. I'm the president of Juicebox. And Juicebox is a juice bar. We do smoothies, supplements, and we're located inside the gym of LA Fitness. Currently, we have 2 locations, one in Glendora. We opened in September. I and my brother are both partners. It's an LLC. Within 6 months, we have expanded to the 2nd location in Rancho Cucamonga due to the merger with Bally and LA Fitness. So the concept of Juicebox was basically we started off as a smoothies, shakes, and supplements, or smoothie, shakes, and beverages. From there, we kept brainstorming, and as numbers went up, we thought, why not throw in some supplements? If you go to any kind of gym, you'll see a nutrition store, Juice It Up, Robux, or Jamba Juice. You also see like a tanning salon, which is a future plan that we plan on doing. And you also see like a Big Five or Sports Chalet where people can get gloves, workout gear, and stuff like that. So as we started business in September, we slowly started increasing our products and services and increasing the variety. So that allowed us to generate more money. Because we had limited capital that we were using, we started off with $30,000. If you can see from the before to the middle and to what it is now, we have been growing the business and it has been expanding, and retention of our customers have been coming back because we create an environment, a friendly environment. We get to know the people. We offer the best solution to what they're looking for as far as supplements or weight loss, or basically we cater to their needs. And any kind of competition, we try to beat their price, and actually we do. So our target market is inside the gym, or is gym enthusiasts and fitness enthusiasts. And what better spot than being inside the gym? So our target market is actually walking through the doors. So this is our 2nd location in Rancho Cucamonga. We opened in February 20th, 2012. LA Fitness, I'm contracted with them. Luckily, they seen what we did with Glendora because it was known as a pit hole. And they've been going through 3 owners of that spot, and we've successfully turned out profits and hired employees. So luckily, as LA Fitness merged with or bought out Bally's, there's 176 clubs. I'm from Rancho Cucamonga, so I jumped on the first opportunity. Like I said, limited amount of capital. I was only allowed to open 1, but it was a perfect one. I moved right in, and that store is actually doing the same numbers as Glendora in the first month. So Juicebox will be participating in an exciting growth market. Health and fitness has seen explosive growth starting in the 90s. Its market is worth around $25 billion just on the vitamin and supplements alone. There's also a growth in, the health clubs. All right. Thank you.
How do you get agreement from, is it store by store?
It's LA Fitness leases out their juice bar spaces to private businesses. So we actually go in there and we're licensed within LA Fitness to provide our services and products.
But one store at a time?
One store, or you can jump as many, whatever is available. But there are locations available currently because of the merger. There's 176 clubs. I don't think even half of them have been filled. So I would be asking for an investment. Depends on how fast I want to grow, but $40,000 would be an easy investment to jump into another store and get it up and running.
Are these corporate-owned gym or?
The LA Fitness, yeah, it's a corporate owned. And in the futures, I plan to, step outside of the gym once I brand my name and actually offer what those single stores offer. So the smoothies, the shakes, the nutrition, so the vitamin supplements actually, and then tanning, because that's a monthly revenue. So it's a residual income. So you can actually have all these places in one location. And one by one, knock each and every one of these guys out of business because it's going to be one convenient spot. Anything else?
It's a good concept.
Thank you.
And you're hitting on another thing that people are concerned about, which is health.
Just a question about the tanning business. I read that they are concerned that it can produce cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you deal with that?
You would put up warning signs and let them know that, some tanning beds, but if you could purchase a UV-free tanning bed, which would kind of limit it, but everybody's pretty much well aware who tans about the rays. I mean, you can go outside and get cancer, but,
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have John with AIC, Applied Information Concepts.
Good morning. No, I'm not taking shelter from an earthquake here.
Hit the escape button.
Okay. All right. Okay, in case the clock's ticking while this is, okay. Hello, there we go. Okay, great. Okay, the mission of my company is to provide, let's see here, is to provide, there we go, okay. It's to provide powerful enterprise software to small and medium-sized businesses, or SMBs. Businesses becoming increasingly reliant on software. Software purchases for business that were optional 5 years ago today are mandatory in order to maintain competitive parity. And the small to medium-sized businesses get left out of this. The software remains high cost. They can't afford it. And I'm talking about the innovative SMBs. I'm not talking about law offices and dental offices. I think of my product as an affordable oracle. I call it Operations Factory. This is a flexible platform for enterprise software solutions. And the key to it is that it gives you a summary of an underlying complex software system. So you maintain the summary, you develop the summary, and it becomes a force multiplier, which extends the reach of IT consultants and the in-house IT staff of a small company. A case study I'd like to talk about, a job I did for an aerospace company. They were in a bind with a customer. They had a real-time data analysis problem. They couldn't throw the usual million-dollar screwdriver at this problem, so they did what a lot of small companies do, is they use Microsoft Office, okay? The analytical reports came in a week late on a consistent basis. This was not real time. So they tried an Oracle product, Hyperion. $350,000 later, they still weren't done, and that wasn't the cost of the software. That was all the high-priced consultants and the engineering involved in getting Hyperion to work, do what they needed to be done. They brought me in. I got an operations factory, brought their report latency down to 0, and the real great point about this was they could add analysis capability to the system within 30 minutes. That's design, code, test, deploy in 30 minutes. So this resulted in a enduring maintenance contract for this aerospace company, and it chokes me up to think about it. I was really happy about that. The IT consulting industry is rather interesting. It's a large industry, over $300 billion, 400,000 businesses, but about 70% of those businesses are independent contractors. And they only account for about 4% of the revenue in this industry. So with a product like Operations Factory in the hands of these hundreds of thousands of IT consultants, the revenue of that industry can start shifting to these smaller operators. The competition is basically the content management systems, the holy trinity of content management. Sorry, my time's up.
Do you, are you offering this solution to your customers on a service as a software model, or is it installed on their servers?
Initially, it would be dealing with the independent consultants, IT consultants. Software as a service is a long-term goal, but you know, learning to walk before we run. There's a need to empower the IT consultants, the in-house IT staff at the smaller companies, and so that's where we would start out.
So you mentioned one client. How many clients have you done this for?
This is the only client where I've used this particular architecture. I've looked at doing it on other jobs that include the Veterans Administration, the Border Patrol, and in trying to carry this into the commercial realm, since a lot of my background is in aerospace and defense, a commercial application that we looked at using this was young adult travel. So that's basically it at this point. Oh, and the next project we're taking on is a carbon finance website that will support the cap and trade market. It's coming to California. It'll be like a Dun and Bradstreet for carbon finance.
Cool. Speechless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you to all the presenters. At this time, we'd like to ask you guys to take about 20 minutes so that the judges can actually deliberate and give their findings. During this time, you're more than welcome to mingle, get to know each other, and get some snacks. Dr. Waters?
I have a quick announcement for students. If you're charged up about entrepreneurship, we have a minor in entrepreneurship. It's 6 extra courses, but there's a catch. You have until July 1st to sign up for it. After July 1st, running the way all minors go away. So, G.R. Waters, come see me and I'll sign you up.
Perfect. Thank you all. If we can just have the participants please seat in the front 2 rows.
Okay. Well, what we have here are 4 winners, first, second, third, and then a creativity award. And so what I think we'll do in terms of format here is we'll start with the third place winner. We'll come up, give you your cash award, and then I think each of the judges here has just a couple of comments, suggestions, maybe one positive, one negative, something along those lines to give you a little insight as to what they were thinking about. And then I know that they've all read your formal proposals, and I know that they've critiqued those, and I believe their intent is to provide you much greater feedback and detail with respect to where they would recommend you go moving forward. So in third place, we have 5 Diamond. Congratulations. Our second place winner is Juiced Box. Okay, and the number 1 is Guest House Medical. And our creativity award is Armistice Chocolates. Okay, with that, we'd like to introduce our guest speaker. Howard Marks is going to make a few words, if you would. Howard, thank you.
All right, well, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. This is my first time at your university. And I'm really here to talk about the mission that I have, and I can talk a little bit about my history briefly. Ultimately, my mission here, what I'm doing today in my career, is to help LA become a top tech entrepreneurial city. I'm interested in technology because I think it's a way for LA to have a future, a very strong future. It's a clean industry. It's an industry that has a lot of potential, and it's also an industry that provides very high-paying jobs. So I think for LA, it is the right thing. Even though LA has a lot of diversity, which is great, that is the focus I have. In terms of my career, I was a student like yourselves, and I started my business when I was 19 years old, my first business. And I had several businesses before I had a very big success. But I was an entrepreneur like yourselves, trying to make a business, trying to find investors. It was very difficult. It was very hard to connect with the entrepreneurs or the successful business people when I was a student. I got lucky, met an entrepreneur, investor who gave us a few $1,000s. You know, I think we had $50,000 when we started. And that was a lot of money to us because we didn't have any money. And that inspired us to do more. And so one day we were able to repay the loan. And we went to see the investor and say, here, we're so excited, we're giving you the money back. And he looked at us and said, no, that's not what I was looking for. You know, getting the money back was not really interesting to me. What was really interesting to me is to help you guys become successful. And my view was, wow, if he did that to us, why can I not do that to others? And so that is really my mission right now, is to help entrepreneurs become successful, help them go to the next level, get them funded through great investors, and help them one day, once they're successful, come back and mentor new students and new young entrepreneurs. And repeat that cycle, hopefully for a long time. And that is really what I'm about. So as an entrepreneur, when I started my first business, I didn't know anything about balance sheets, income statements. I didn't know anything about profits, losses. That was something that was really new to me. And we learned over lots of mistakes, very painful. The one thing that we did right, I think the most important thing we did right was resilience. We did not give up. Never. It's easy to give up. You give up and you go and get a job. That's simple. I think that a lot of people can do that. But the ones who stick with it and who continue on will have probably the largest percentage of success opportunity, because if you have nothing, you have no net, you have nothing, really nothing to lose, but you're going to continue, ultimately you will find a way. And I think that is really where entrepreneurs should think about it. And I don't think it's only to tech. It could be for any kind of business. Tech is one area of business that I know well, but it could be for any kind of business, just to keep and stick with it. And I did that. We had some ups and downs. We had a couple businesses that are nearly out of business, virtually in bankruptcy. Didn't matter. We continued on, and we just went for it. We got lucky because we stayed in the game. So staying in the game is probably the most important thing, because the minute you leave and you go and get a job, then you probably will have zero chance of success as an entrepreneur. Yeah, you can take a job and go back to entrepreneurship. That's absolutely possible. However, you know, once you go through your natural career life, you find a spouse, you start having kids, it becomes even harder to become an entrepreneur. So being an entrepreneur early, I think, is the easiest way. A lot of the universities try to help students find jobs, which I think is great. But at the same time, I think about that, and I wonder what could they have done if they didn't get a job? What could they have done if they started and pursued their entrepreneurial mission? Because they went and took a job and got through this, it's a cycle of job to job, and they become addicted to money, because at that point you start getting an apartment, you have a nice car, and you get addicted to money, and it's very hard to move backwards. When you're a student, you don't have anything to lose. You can sleep on someone's couch, and that's perfectly okay, by the way. We had one guy we worked with who was sleeping on one of my partner's couches. He's now very successful. He owns an advertising agency in I think it's in Long Beach. And it's doing extremely well. I mean, it's extraordinary to see that. And yeah, he started with no means like we all did. So the way I see entrepreneurship is you have to be able to want to say no to the job. You have to be willing to start a business at any cost. It's not easy. The way we're going to help entrepreneurs who are in the tech space is we started a company called Start Engine. And what Start Engine does is we call ourselves an accelerator. You come in, you interview, and if we think we can help you, we make a $20,000 investment. We take 10% of equity in the company. We pair the entrepreneurs with mentors. And then after 90 days, and it's a very short period of time, after 90 days of a lot of hard work, we introduce our entrepreneurs to hundreds of investors. And hopefully we make a match, and the match will yield to an investment that is a great opportunity for entrepreneurs. And I think that if you look at San Francisco, Silicon Valley, that is really booming right now. And so is New York. LA just started. We started our business November 1st. At the same time, four other accelerators started. At the same time, unbeknown to each other, because there is really something in the air here. There's something that people are feeling that LA is on the cusp to something really unique in entrepreneurship, especially tech. Now, of course, you know, that's my specialty, so I cannot speak to all of you who are doing other types of industries. But in the tech space, something extraordinary is happening in LA. We want to capitalize on it, and we want to grow it as fast as we can. We want to do what New York has done very successfully with Mayor Bloomberg, who's been very involved. So I was recently invited to be on the mayor's, I would say, technology council. That's what they call it. It's about 20 entrepreneurs, business people who are all in the tech field, who want to help LA become a top tech city. The mayor has said that he's going to get involved in different activities, which is great. Ultimately, it comes down to the business leadership. The leadership has to take the reins. You know, the politics are difficult. The mayor is going to be leaving. There's going to be a new mayor. But ultimately, it's us, the leaders, who have to come in and say, okay, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make LA a top tech city. So what is the plan? How are we going to do it? It's pretty simple. I'm actually going to most of the universities, and I'm talking to the engineering departments, to the business departments about entrepreneurship. They need some role models. They need to see people who've done it. They need to know that there's a community out there that's willing to help. So we've put together about 130 mentors. They're the guys who started eHarmony, which is a dating site. They started CityGrid, which is a local small business directory. They started Beachmint. These are all startups that became larger companies. LegalZoom, which you may have seen on your TV, they have advertisers. They advertise, and it's amazing. These are entrepreneurs who are saying, we want to help. So they came together with us to help entrepreneurs. So the other thing we're going to do is we're putting together festivals, events. One of them is called the Silicon Beach Fest, which is starting June 21st, 22nd, 23rd. And it's really to bring together all of the people interested in tech, the investors, the entrepreneurs, the mentors, the press, the mayor. Everybody gets together to say that LA is going to be a great tech city. So that's the kinds of things I'm involved with. I'm also personally mentoring students at Caltech. Because I had a chance to get there. I'd love to find students here at Cal Poly who are interested in technology and entrepreneurship so I can be helpful, open doors, help them find opportunities. Ultimately, I don't want them to take a job. That is my goal. I want them to actually start a business. It's not for everybody. I recognize that. But if anything, I can maybe inspire some of the students to not take a job and actually start a business now when it's very cheap for them to do that. Not later when they have huge requirements, personal requirements, and financial requirements. I was an entrepreneur while I was in college and finishing my degree. It was very difficult. I had basically school, I had work, which is, as you can imagine, an entrepreneur works 80 hours a week, plus social life, which was tiny. And you know what? It worked. I was able to use my skills to finish my degree, actually, build a business that did about $10 million in revenue, and still have a social life. And you just work it, you work through the schedule. At the same time, when I finished school, I was already in business. I didn't need to get a job. I already had a job. That was my company. And I was able to take that to the next level. And as I told you, I failed several times before I became successful. So the major break I had was we made a software program for a company called Commodore, which is now out of business, by the way. And they had the Commodore 64, the Amiga, these little machines that people bought for their homes. And we made a piece of software that we thought was great, and it didn't sell. Didn't sell very well, except that the company Commodore came to us and said, hey, we really like it. It's a word processor. It does a bunch of things. We want to put it with our machines and bundle it. And that was a great opportunity for us because we didn't need to do the sales. They would do the selling for us. It turns out they sold hundreds of thousands of copies, but they didn't tell us that. They told us that they sold 10,000 copies. So we were failing. We had no money. And we thought we could just close the doors. And then I went to Europe, because I'm from Europe originally. I was born here in LA, but grew up in France. And I did my trip. I went to Denmark, and I went to Norway, and I met the distributors who were selling the Commodore system with our software. And they were telling me great numbers. So I went to Sweden, they said, oh, we just ordered 10,000 copies. Just one country, 10,000 copies. And then I went to Germany, I went to Spain. I came back and said, I think we just sold 200,000 copies of this thing. So we confronted the company, and they're like, well, okay. And we sent our CPA, did the audit, and they wrote us a check for $400,000. That changed everything. Now we had money. Before we had nothing. We were scraping, and well, we couldn't even pay payroll. We couldn't pay ourselves. And so then I went to Europe to capitalize on it and built the business. We did about $12 million. And that was really exciting. We made a profit, but then we realized we didn't have it. Our passion, our mission wasn't there. We just didn't feel that we could continue and grow the business. And we probably saw the demise of the personal computer, and we were interested in games. The personal computer turned out to be replaced by what you have today are the laptops and the PCs. They're no more the concept of this personal computer. If anything, the iPad is your personal computer. And we found a company that was virtually out of business called Activision. It had a lot of debt. It was laying off people. It was going to be delisted from the NASDAQ stock exchange. And we went in and we basically took all the money we made. I think we made a couple $1 million in profits. We took all that money, bought out the banks, paid $400,000 for a third of the company, and then we went and bankrupted the whole thing. We took it into bankruptcy, erased all the debt, and rebuilt it. We moved it from Mountain View, which was in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, down to LA, where we are now in Santa Monica. And everybody thought we were crazy. Everybody said, this is the worst idea ever. You're taking a company that no one wants to work with you, it's bankrupt, you're bankrupting it, you're not gonna get any more investors, there's nothing left, no one wants to play their games. I mean, it's just an awful situation. We pared it down to 10 employees. Basically, we had the IT guy, we had a few developers and designers. That was it, 10 guys. And we started. Now today, it's the #1 video game company in the world. It's worth $14 billion. So you can imagine, that's crazy, that going from zero to that kind of level. I left 10 years later to start another company because I'm really an entrepreneur and I wanted to do things in the internet, which I ended up doing. But I don't think it will ever happen to me again, a story like this, where you can start a company and become a Fortune 500. But it's possible. And that's what I want to tell you guys. It is possible to build large businesses. You just have to stick with it and believe in your mission and your vision. To me, we could have sold at any time. We've had offers. They were not very good offers. We could have sold and just said, pack up our bags, and did that. We had once a crazy meeting with Steve Jobs because we were thinking of selling our company to Apple, and that was in 1984. And Apple just introduced the Macintosh. And we were thinking about it and said, you know what, we could sell and take jobs there, and we would not have gotten a lot of money, by the way. We would have got more than we had, but not a lot. And then we decided, you know what, we're going to go for it. And that decision changed everything for us. It gave us the opportunity to build Activision and start a company that ended up being very successful. So stick with it. Fail a few times, that's okay. Continue, and you will find success. Thank you very much.
Good morning. We're almost done. I would like all of the finalists to please come up to the stage, and when I call your name, come forward. We have certificates for you. So please come forward. Okay, Andrew McIntosh. Ed Sparks. Krikor Ketchian. Samantha Pearson. Kieran Dolan. Yazin Fakouri. Trevor Binky. And John Miller. Give all of our finalists a good hand. Excellent presentations. And I just want to say that these finalists had very little time to prepare, like maybe a day or two. And I think they all did a phenomenal job, so let's all applaud them. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate your attendance, particularly the judges. A lot of people put some time and effort into bringing this to fruition. We thank the Dean's Office, Harrison Hinton, Oscar Salazar certainly, and come back next year. Thank you.